Hey guys, what's going on? I have a little something different for you guys today. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do a dual vlog, and I have a good buddy of mine named Mitch who was nice enough to come down here, and I figured what better opportunity than to get someone from Drug Investigations to talk about their experiences. A lot of you have been asking questions related to drugs, and anyway, hopefully we can get some of these questions answered for you guys, and possibly if you guys are interested, we might do a part 2. So at the end of the video, I'll remind you guys, but if you have any questions that you want me to ask Mitch, we might do a part 2 video. Just put those in the comment section below, and we'll see if we can address those in the next video. Mitch, how long have you been a police officer?
In LEO, law enforcement for too many.
What other duties have you had as a police officer other than being a drug investigator?
I worked a couple years in patrol, answering mom and pop's calls, dog ate my shoelace, to working in the housing projects.
So how long have you been a drug investigator?
A little over 3.5, 4 years, somewhere in there. Can't keep count.
I get emails daily. Like every day I get emails from people asking me, how do I become a cop? How do I become a canine officer? How do I become a drug investigator? To the people that are wanting to achieve where you're at now, what steps would you recommend that they take?
Number one thing is just take your time. Get out there on the street, learn your streets, learn your people, learn your job, and just do that one day at a time, and take your time. And one day, you'll be able to go on the K9, or you go on the traffic, or you go on the drug squad. It just doesn't happen overnight when you get out of the academy. So just take your time, learn what you need to learn, and eventually you'll get to where you want to be.
Now, Mitch had a good point, guys. Just remember that like most departments are going to require a certain amount of years of experience on the road before they allow you to go into a specialized division, kind of like K9 or drug investigations. And the reason for that is they want you to be very thoroughly educated in what your job entails. Now, if you take a brand new officer and you put them on the road, they're not going to know a whole lot about search and seizure or things that might pertain to a particular division. So they like for officers to get well-rounded experience on the road before they send you into a particular division like that. So Mitch, it's obvious that drug investigators are trying to find drugs, but what extra duties do you have other than trying to find narcotics?
Basically, you name it. We do everything. Whether it is helping another agency kick down the door, helping another county do a search warrant, other doing child sex crimes, even investigating dirty cops. I mean, that is our job. That's what we do.
Have you personally ever had to investigate a dirty cop?
Yes, I have.
What is that like for you?
Part of my job. It's not what I want, but it's part of my job.
What's the feeling that you have when you find out that somebody that you have worked side by side with is doing something illegal that you are now given the task of investigating? How does that make you feel? Like,
well, it's heartbreaking, but the way I look at it is they're no different from the next person. You made a choice. It's the wrong choice. It's my job to take care of it.
Mitch, I've been doing this a long time, and I know that being a cop has changed me. But how has being a drug investigator changed you as an officer?
Well, I'll put it this way. I can't go stay at a hotel anymore. The shit I see every day, the people I deal with every day, I'm more, not so much to say on edge, but more aware of what criminals bring to the table. Being a narcotics investigator, I think outside the box, and I can see it a different realm compared to the next officer.
So basically, spending time in narcotics has opened your eyes to things that patrol officers wouldn't even notice?
Being a narcotics investigator, we deal with the worst of the worst, the lowest of the lowest. These are people that will steal from their mom, they'll steal from their dad, they'll steal from their grandparents, they'll steal from their kids, they'll put their kids out on the street to work for them, to get their drugs. They'll go into a store and just steal just to be able to get their narcotics.
Now, what exactly is the schedule like for a drug investigator? Are you guys Monday through Friday, or how does that work?
Well, pretty much, we don't have a schedule. Our schedule is, we may have a starting time, and halfway through the day, we may not have an ending day. So it's one of those where when the phone rings, you go.
How often do you work in an undercover capacity?
It all depends on the case. I mean, it all depends on the area, location.
When working undercover operations, Are you required to tell people that you're an officer if they ask you?
No, not at all. That's too much CSI or Law and Order.
So what's the biggest bust of drugs and money that you've made in your time as a drug investigator?
Me personally, I was a part of a team that took down a little over 10 pounds of methamphetamine with a street value of over $250,000.
Mitch, what is your personal opinion on the legalization of marijuana?
At the end of the day, I believe marijuana should be legalized.
Do you think marijuana is a gateway drug?
I think anything's a gateway drug. I believe that's up to the individual that's in control of their own lives.
So you think it just depends on the individual, it's not necessarily going to affect everybody the same way?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are the major differences in narcotics scheduling? A lot of times you'll hear like there's a Schedule 1 narcotic or there's a Schedule 2. How would you break those down? You don't have to give a long description or anything, but what's the basic rundown of how the scheduling system works?
Well, your basic schedules, I mean, what we deal with is Schedule 1 through Schedule 5. Obviously, Schedule 1 would be your heroin, LSD, stuff like that. Your Schedule 2s could be cocaine, methamphetamine.
So just a random question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, even though I kind of am. Why do you think the federal government has deemed marijuana to be a Schedule 1 narcotic, but yet cocaine is a Schedule 2? So you're trying to tell me that medicinal marijuana has less of a medicinal value than cocaine does?
Well, my friend, that is a question that has been needing to be answered for decades, and I don't have that answer.
Now, I personally think, and this is just my opinion, I personally think that alcohol is more dangerous than marijuana. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let me stop this right here. Don't get me wrong. All narcotics and all drugs are bad for you. Alcohol is bad for you. Tobacco is bad for you.
Yeah, we're not condoning it.
Yeah, I'm not trying to condone that, this drug's better than the next drug. I mean, my job is I'm going to get you for any kind of drug.
What's the most common drug that you find?
Right now, on a daily basis, every time I go to work, it's consistently methamphetamine. It takes the lives of everybody involved. I can't stand it.
Now, what do you or the police department that you work for do with the seized drugs and drug money?
Obviously, with the drugs, we got to send it off to the crime lab, or we got to send it off to a different agency for analysis. That's just part of our what we have to do. As far as the seized money goes, either they have an option where they can sign off on it and let it go, or we take it and we send it through the court, and then they go and they battle back and forth whether they're going to get to keep their money or if the court's going to keep their money. That's all different.
Ever since Ronald Reagan enacted the war on drugs in 1985, it's been a lot of people's belief that the war on drugs is simply a revenue generator for police departments, kind of similar to like speeding tickets. Do you agree with that, or do you feel that you're actually making a difference?
I agree and disagree. Is it a revenue builder? It can be. Do I feel like I'm making a difference? If I can keep a drug, whether it be marijuana, heroin, LSD, crack, methamphetamine, anything, if I can keep one drug out of any child's hands, then I'm doing a difference.
A lot of people say that the war on drugs is never going to be won. A lot of people say that we should just legalize all drugs because then you take the taboo out of them. So how would you feel if one day they just enacted something where every drug was legal across the board? Do you think that would take the taboo out of it, or do you think it would be a bigger epidemic?
I mean, that's a great question. If you put every drug legal on the street, no, I don't agree with that. Me personally, what I see on an everyday basis, there are certain drugs that are way worse than the next drug. And again, I'm not condoning drug use. Again, not one drug's better than the next drug. I'm not saying that. But what I see on a daily basis, this drug may not be more destructive than this drug.
Mitch, do you feel comfortable talking about surveillance tactics and the secrets of what you guys do to catch people?
I'm going to leave it like this. Like I tell all my people, when you get that feeling like you're being watched, you are.
So anyone that turns on the TV, like there's a ton of cop shows on, there's a ton of documentaries and everything. What's your personal opinion on TV shows that show the tactics of drug investigators and they show their surveillance techniques?
Keep watching those shows every single day, because that's not what we do. So you keep watching it and enjoy.
What exactly is a confidential informant?
That is a person that has decided to better their lives or take care of the mistake they have made.
So in recent years, Mitch, there's been a huge surge. There's really an epidemic in the development of new synthetic drugs, things like spice, things like bath salts. What kind of problems have you seen develop from these synthetic drugs?
These people have no idea when they ingest these chemicals into their body what's going to happen after they do. Work cases to where they ingest bath salts and they flip out in Walmart, or they smoke spice and they end up dead in the hospital 3 in a row.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. I figured I'd throw something a little different your way. I know you guys get tired of seeing the inside of my car. So if you guys want to see a part 2 to this video, let me know in the comment section below, and also include a question. I'll make a list of all the questions that you guys come up with, and I will ask Mitch in the next interview. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate the support, and I will see you soon.